Well, speaking of Russiagate, we have another
Yes.
great video that Leslie in particular,
Yes.
he
Let's
picked
get
this one out.
into it. Now, I do want to set this up and make this
Yeah.
clear. This is audio from the former Secretary
I
of
haven't heard
State.
this yet. I'm looking forward to listening.
It's
I
good.
only read about it.
Former Secretary of State, current House Majority Leader, actual people in actual power. This is what they put out through their various handlers and editors on their own fucking podcast. Okay,
Right.
this is not
It
leaked
wasn't leaked.
audio. This is what they wanted us to know, and I was just baffled.
Also, Hillary's podcast is called "You and Me Both."
Ugh.
I don't even know what that.
Yeah, we're all in this together, right, Hillary?
Seriously. All right, let's take it away, shall we?
We learned a lot about our system of government over the last 4 years with a president who disdains democracy and, as you have said numerous times, has other agendas. What they all are, I don't think we yet know. I hope historically we will find out who he's beholden to, who pulls his string. I would love to see his phone records to see whether he was talking to Putin the day that the insurgents invaded. But we now know that not just him, but his enablers, his accomplices, his cult members have the same disregard for democracy. Do you think we need a 9/11 type commission to investigate and report everything that they can pull together and explain what happened?
I do. Let me, again, to your point of who is he beholden
She always
to,
goes like
as
this
I've
with her
said over
hands,
and over,
Pelosi.
as I said to him in that picture with my blue suit,
Oh my God, Nancy sounds terrible.
pointing rudely at him. With you, Mr. President, all roads lead to Putin. It hasn't in him politically, financially, or personally.
They're
But
gay
what
together.
happened last week was a gift to Putin because
That's
Putin
right.
wants to undermine democracy and our
There's like 50 people in Russia.
people.
They inject gasoline into their veins.
They were doing Putin's business when they did that at the incitement of an insurrection by the President of the United
These
States.
people are cute.
So yes, we
Yes.
should have a 9/11
Yeah, it's
commission.
you. But
and
at the
there's
same time,
strong
how much
support in
more
the Congress
ridiculous?
to do that?
Yeah, more.
Like
Yeah.
the Q idea that Biden is in collusion with China, the a billion plus people, the biggest economy in the world that is actively trying to assert, its prerogative on the global stage with Belt and Road and by, moving naval forces into the South China Sea and stuff. Okay, I can see it. This population declining petro state that has not been able to meaningfully assert itself beyond its borders since the collapse of the Soviet Union is in cahoots with Trump to overthrow the American government. The Q people are more coherent in their geopolitical concept than they are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, Nancy, honestly, she needs another adrenochrome shot. She is sounding bad.
Yeah. So
it's easy to forget sometimes that these people are 9,000 years old.
Yeah.
What struck when I heard this clip, I damn near had a disassociative state, because I was like, okay, so what is reality? Why would they put this out? These are people who have been at the highest levels of power. These aren't Q people. We're comparing them Q. This is not some dentist in Florida. This is the former Secretary of State, could have been president, currently the leader of the Democrats. These are the people at allegedly the real levels of power, and this is what they actually think about the world. Don't they know how the world really operates, what actually is behind the scenes? They're playing into the most unhinged version of what resistance live with post, and do they actually believe this, or why are they putting this out for us to believe this? I couldn't make heads or tails of it. Matt, you gotta help me. What is going on? What is real? What is simulation? Why would Hillary Clinton and Nancy Pelosi put this out? Do they? I don't know.
Right.
I mean, I don't know how much they actually believe it, and that's a question that's sort of always there at the top levels of how deeply anybody really believes anything, because presumably and you're at a certain level of power, the falseness of all of the frameworks that we use to operate off of are pretty self-evident.
Right.
And that's why you usually see a combination of cynics and dullards at the top level, because those are really the two people who could thrive in that situation. And I think but the real fact is, regardless, it is in their interest to provide a counter narrative to explain their failures and to explain how Donald Trump became president, because there is no reckoning with his presidency, real reckoning with his presidency, that does not, more than anything, indict the Democratic Party. And that is not allowed, so it cannot be part of the narrative. So there has to be an external force to explain it. And whether they believe it or not, they need us to believe it.
Right. They either make themselves believe it. That's always a good. Interesting.
That makes me feel better, at least, because does make me feel better, because at least they have a rational reason to post this unhinged stuff. And I'm not realizing now, they literally could say Q shit, and like most of the people would be fine with. Most of their supporters would be fine with. I don't know. Like there's like, we make fun of Q people for being this cult, this conspiracy theory, but like you could have the exact same parallel thing on the broad left, and it would be the same. It would.
Rachel Maddow was talking about Lev Parnas and Ivan Stroganoff shutting off the American power grid.
Yeah.
And that's why I will respect the Q people way more than the blue Anon people, because at least they had to go online and do the research to find a way to scrap together their ideology. You could just turn on MSNBC and just get a similarly unhinged, delusional explanation for the political reality every night, without any effort on your part. And so if you believe that stuff, I have even less respect for you, because you didn't even work for it.
Remember, you're just spoon-fed it. Remember Jonathan Chait went on Chris Hayes' show and suggested that Trump was an asset?
Yes.
I mean, how is that?
They say that Chait said that he'd been groomed by the Kremlin for 30 years.
So crazy.
And I'm like, I remember the last like hit that Hillary put out on anybody was when she called Tulsi Gabbard a Russian agent, like just explicit on her own podcast. And when I heard them, like, is this serious? Like, is this something, like, it's just so bizarre, as unhinged as anything Trump could say. But
then the Russian asset wound up endorsing Joe Biden.
I know, right? Like, they accepted that endorsement.
Yeah. I mean, I think that it is so, again, it's the saying the quiet parts out loud. The fact that Nancy Pelosi is like, well, you know what I said, as I said to the president when I was wearing my blue suit, like, it's all spectacle.
Yes.
And you don't even know, you're not supposed to reference it. It's like when I said, as I said to the president, when I ripped up his speech, or when I clapped to him in this way that was
as I said last week on Monday Night Raw.
Yeah, it's so ridiculous. It's really ridiculous. It's really embarrassing. I do think that there are levels of it. I think, like, we can have a psychoanalyst talk about this, right? There's like, you're paid to believe something. You really do believe something. You really don't believe it, and you're just fine saying it. I think the scary thing is that there are people who listen to MSNBC who really don't get that, like, who really believe it.
I mean, yes, but I have to say, the one good thing about Biden winning is I think it's freed a lot of our liberal parents from having to have MSNBC brain and watch it all day. I think just not having Trump in office, some people do need to go to sleep. Some people do need to go back to brunch, perhaps.
Well, that's the point of the whole QAnon and MAGA insurgent fear, is to keep a sense of threat and a sense of stakes, when instead, so that people are still glued to it, and glued to it on the terms of the Democratic Party. And that's the goal. That's the effort. I don't know how successful it's going to be, because I really do think, like, a lot of people are very excited about the idea of tuning it out, and good. Like, people get mad when people say, "Oh, I get to go back to brunch," but anybody who's saying that, why would you want them in your face? Why would you want to have to deal with them?
Yeah, we should give them a bunch of mimosas, bottomless.
Yeah,
mimosas.
exactly. A government-funded mimosa subsidies program.